Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, my fellow crystal snails. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by the boy.
Hi.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. We are talking about All Elite Wrestling All Out 2024.
Yep.
But before we get into that, we do need to discuss who's cool. And that is Rob, Passion Killer 711, a guy from Ohio, Destrucity KTL DG. And theoretically on the tip of your tongue, I don't know. Patreon's really bad about notifying me when people drop out, and I would rather give you credit than not give you credit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So let's talk. Why not? I don't feel the need to update you guys on where I am with professional wrestling, because we just did this 2 weeks ago at the last fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah, you really gotta stop this. Like,
I get the gimmick, I get it, but stop it.
stop it.
Because it just makes both pay-per-views lesser, you know? There were matches on this card, and it might be a chopping technique, as it were. There were matches on this card that I was excited to see because they're storylines that should have been concluded at All In. There were matches on the All In card that I was interested in because they were concluding storylines, and then we got whatever we got here. Don't give me... Don't water down your milk.
Yeah, exactly. Don't give me two halves of one good pay-per-view. Now, that said, I did like this pay-per-view.
I liked the pre-show. I liked the pre-show a lot. And I don't think I have much to say negative about the quality of the athleticism and performance on display by anybody except for Mercedes Moné. What's that guy's name? Josh Woods. We had some pretty bad Josh Woods botches, but, you know, everybody's got a bad night at the office. Do you want to talk about the pre-show real quick?
Sure.
The highlight of the night, as it were. We had the Iron Savages against the Acclaimed. Of course, the Acclaimed won. Max Caster phoning it in, but he dialed the whole number. I'll give him credit for that. Iron Savages really won me over here. They had a really good performance.
People have been saying good things about the Iron Savages a lot. I just don't tend to watch Collision or Rampage or ROH, so I don't see a lot of the Iron Savages.
It's too much wrestling, and we don't have the Ring of Honor, the Honor Club. Let's see. It's Josh Woods, the match he was in with the Premier Athletes, in a handicap match against Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. I'm surprised a little bit, despite them being Ring of Honor tag champs, that Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes won this handicap match where there was no third partner.
White hates Hologram. In case that wasn't clear,
I hate him so fucking much.
He hates Hologram.
You did this. You spoke his name.
I did.
I hate him so Nothing against the athlete who is portraying the character of Hologram, who is not his character. This is Tony Khan's OC, and it's not that it's Tony Khan's OC that I'm upset. It's that he was hyped up to us like Gabbo, and he appeared, and his name is fucking Hologram, and he wears a big H. And I hate him so much. Hologram is the dumbest wrestler name in a long time. A long time. You want something cool, not semi-permeable man. You don't, are you really there, Jackson? It's not good. It's not good. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
This is the exact level of venom I have about Mercedes Moné's piped-in cheers. And they turned her more solidly heel to take advantage of that heat. But unfortunately, White Raven, I don't think that's going to happen for you.
We have so many other good Lucha Libre athletes on this roster. We have the Beast Mortos, who is interesting. And he has a cooked-up Tony Khan gimmick. It's similar to his old gimmick, but, you know. We have Dralistico, who is apparently still there.
Neat.
But this is the guy we're pushing.
He really likes Hologram. He likes the big H.
Oh, I'm so mad about that H.
He likes that moment in his entrance when he, because I've never seen Hologram wrestle until this show, when he's doing his superhero pose and he stands up and he has to reach up to his own collar and turn on the little hologram fucking LED lights in his big H. He has to physically do that, like he has to turn it on like it's a costume.
Because it is.
All right, look. All right, look. There are people in the Discord who are big hologram marks.
As I gather, most people who love Hologram, who aren't children, love him because of the ironic shit posting about him on Twitter and I assume Reddit.
Yes. People are getting Hologram over by wrestlers that I like, going, all right, guys, I'm pretty sure he's not really a hologram. That's funny. That's good. I am not mad at Hologram. I don't have vitriol. The outfit is dumb. As much as I like to give my friend shit and zazz him and be like, no, it's great, buddy. What are you talking? No, it's dumb. It's a dumb outfit. Having seen him wrestle in it now is bad. The pants are okay. They're flat paint primer gray is a bad call. That mask is bad. It is boring looking, and
I
it
think
looks
it's
unfinished.
limiting his vision.
I don't know about that.
There were so many moves that he didn't quite botch, but also didn't quite hit the mark, that, like, I would guess, Stormtrooper-like, the man just can't quite see.
It looks unfinished. It looks like about 75% of a gimmick. And that's not good. That's not what you want.
No.
But I don't have the hatred, so I am happy that Hologram comes away with the win here, along with our boy Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara.
The Bang Bang Gang, who was another team I really liked, despite their ridiculous name, beat the Dark Order, who is another team I really like, despite Alex Reynolds being vanilla ice cream.
And them being... is there a rank higher than Turbo? Ultimo Jobber? They are nearing Knuckleball Schwartz tier of jobber.
Yeah. This was my match of the night, honestly. There were others that were better performed, but I didn't give a shit about the athletes in them. So this was a high bar anyway. It was a really good trios match, and I love really good tag team wrestling.
I like the Dark Order a lot. I like Evil Uno and John Silver much more than Alex Reynolds, who is vanilla ice cream. I love Bullet Club Gold, and I will keep calling them that. And Juice Robinson is one of the better turnarounds of many turnarounds in AEW. I wouldn't say this was my match of the night, but it was certainly fun as hell.
Yeah. And then we had the Undisputed Kingdom taking a victory over the Beast Mortos and Shane Taylor promotions. You cannot cram more jobbers into one team. Oh, wait, the Dark Order. And Action Andretti and Top Flight. You cannot cram more jobbers into one team. Oh, wait, the Beast Mortos and Shane Taylor promotions. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess.
So the pre-show was almost all trios matches, except for
one tag match.
One tag match, and one of the guys in that tag match pointed out that it should have been a trios match. But it was all trios matches that were insanely predictable. You just sort of looked at the card and went, oh, they're winning. And then you were right.
I mean, for my money, this whole show was insanely predictable. The only prediction I got wrong was the most recent match here, the Undisputed Kingdom's victory, because I forgot Top Flight were jobbers. I thought they were trying to push them because they've got the new flight attendant. I'm dumb. That's on me.
I missed 2 calls on this whole pay-per-view. One, because I forgot. We'll see. I forgot a jobber. We'll get there. And the other, because I just hoped too hard. But we'll get there, too.
We've said for a long time, years, in fact, since we've been watching and podcasting on AEW, there's nothing wrong with being predictable most of the time.
Sometimes being the predictable call is the right call.
Yes.
That's how I've always phrased it.
And I think this pre-show, despite the fact that, I mean, you could see it coming across an Ohio cornfield, all of these results, the action was so good and the characters were so fun and interesting that it made up for it.
To be clear,
Except Hologram.
Picking different winners in these matches wouldn't have been the right call. That it was predictable doesn't, booking wise, those were all the right calls.
So I would argue here a little bit. I think Iron Savages or Top Flight or even Dark Order could have benefited from a victory that would have catapulted them into logical contention. We have had so much stagnation in the tagging divisions that they're adding in groups of wrestlers who have nothing to do with each other before pushing their own teams. I hate that.
Yeah, why weren't the guys that Dustin Rhodes is the ROH six-man tag team champions with on this show? He was in a trios match. Why weren't they? Why was it two other random assholes?
It's a good point. They might have had prior commitments, but it is a good point.
I like you making new teams. I like you pushing your current teams. I almost never like someone being made a jobber. I think that's a waste of talent. I think if you can't book a wrestling federation without turning someone into a jobber, that's a failure on your part as a booker. Look, is everyone going to be at the top of the card? No. But unless you are intentionally fucking someone over because you find it amusing, see Jeff Jarrett in our original Attitude Run of Jow, there's no reason to do that. There's no reason to do that. It's not helpful. It doesn't, because then they can put on a good match, but it doesn't service the world you're trying to build.
Yeah, and, again, maybe they win on Rampage all the time. I don't know.
And yeah, look, I have a very narrow view. I do not... you could easily make the argument that I shouldn't judge AEW and who's a jobber and who's not, because I only watch roughly 30%, not even 33%, maybe 25% of their overall content, if that. But I have, video games to play and books to read and a job. So I can't do that.
Also, they have only gotten worse at this and they were never good. AEW does not want us to know they have other programming unless they're just saying, hey, Collision exists. They definitely don't want us to know that Ring of Honor is a thing, except for the titles.
Yeah, they're really bad at that.
Even when they had Dark before, they would tell us, oh, these guys have been kicking ass on Dark. There would be a picture-in-picture of a victory or something. It was great.
They have gotten worse at it.
And they have gotten actively worse. But anyway, yeah, the main card. We spent already 10 minutes talking about this crap. Because it was the part I liked. Okay, let me have this. Let's move on to something I believe you liked.
I did like this match. They opened the main card, with Daniel Garcia versus MJF. This blood feud, of the 19 blood feuds on tonight's card, was actually quite well booked. Pretty much beginning to end. Simple, understandable. Got real hot real fast in terms of overall time that you guys spent interacting, but it made sense that these guys were so immediately 1000% aggro at each other. It made sense in universe. The match itself was good because Daniel Garcia is a great talent and MJF is a generational one. He's the best working wrestler. Fight me. I will fight you. And so, of course, it was good. And, well, he's my favorite. Best is more up for contention. But I missed this call. I thought Garcia was going to win. Because I forgot that Daniel Garcia is a jobber.
He's also, I don't know if he signed a new contract. And...
he did lose the match. They gave him the emotional win because he beat up MJF after, but MJF's win record says win.
Yes, and MJF is supposed to be taking a couple weeks off following that injury, so
smart.
I'm glad
good. He came back a little early anyway.
Yeah. I thought this was a fine match technically. I hated, in fact, the start of this feud because it felt like weird Daniel Garcia fanfic penned by Daniel Garcia.
The beginning of this feud, months ago, before Daniel Garcia went missing for a month and a half, there was a segment, I think it was 2 segments actually, that genuinely felt like Daniel Garcia as a teenager wrote fanfic about Daniel Garcia. it was cringy and self-indulgent for Daniel Garcia somehow, and it felt weird. But then it bridged into stuff I like. It bridged into Ospreay MJF, which I think, if you go back and listen to the tape of the previous podcast, you'll find that I was somewhat of a fan of. And it bridged into this, which was honestly well booked, good promos, and a solid match to cap it off. I think they did good things with, admittedly, an incredibly cringy start.
I think they had a couple of weeks of Blood Feud that worked better than most of Swerve Hanger, and I included the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think so. Swerve Hanger has higher highs than MJF Daniel Garcia, but Swerve Hanger's lows are fucking abysmally low. And this was a smooth ride.
It ruined two characters I love.
Not this, later.
Yeah, no, this is fine. I like Daniel Garcia. I hate that they're gonna have to take away his Magic Mike gimmick to make him more believable for the common man. I don't need another hard boy blue chipper. We have enough. Look what it did to poor Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly got sad, and now he's having fun again, and he's in the conglomeration, and he's 10 times more entertaining. Kyle O'Reilly standing back and watching Mark Briscoe be Mark Briscoe is 10 times more entertaining than Kyle O'Reilly staring sadly at the camera, going, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Edge, can I have your title, please?
Like, one of those is fun. One of those is honestly a little depressing.
The next match was predictable. All of them were, but this was even more so.
But again, in a good way, this should have gone this way.
Yeah. Claudio and Wheeler of the Blackpool Combat Club challenged the Young Bucks to their tag team championships. Of course, the Young Bucks defended. This challenge happened less than 7 days before the show itself.
And notably, and I'm going to point this out specifically for reasons that this is a secret tool that'll help us later. Claudio and Wheeler are 2/3 of the Trios champs. Ideally, the Trios champs should never be the tag champs. That's not what you want.
Dustin's okay. I honestly don't hate it. I wouldn't mind if he did some sort of Texas super stable leading into next year's All In, where he is most likely going to retire.
In Dustin's case, I'm making an exception because he's on his way out, and this is them giving him his propers, because he's not getting a main title run. And nor should he, really.
He's still a great performer, though.
Yeah, he's still amazing, but, it's just not... That's not the right call. This is him getting his propers, and that's understandable.
I can actually say the same thing about the Young Bucks. I don't know if it's in part because they're getting older, or if it's just the heel gimmick, or both, or whatever. They don't wrestle like they used to.
I'm almost certain that's just the gimmick.
It might be, and it's a good part of the gimmick.
Because I've seen them, you'll see them during bits and pieces of matches turn on Young Buck mode.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I'm almost certain they're doing that. Now, this is a cart and horse situation. Is the reason they have this gimmick partially so that they can wrestle a slower, easier style?
Sure.
Entirely possible. It seems like it's probably mostly them taking advantage of reality and turning into the skid, which generally is a thing I like.
Yeah. I do love this gimmick as much as it doesn't light a fire inside me. It's really well written.
It's consistently fun and funny.
Yes.
I don't have to be a mark for the Young Bucks to enjoy what they're doing right now, because what they're doing is funny. It's good. It's entertaining. And they're still delivering solid wrestling.
I need to point out something here that you and I both noticed while watching the match. At one point, Claudio and a Buck break into the audience a little bit, and Claudio turns around to check on the audience member to make sure they're okay. Responsible behavior, very sweet.
He's currently wrestling Baby in this match,
yes.
So it's not even weird, like when he used to try and be a heel by standing as still as possible and acting as if the audience's vision is based on movement, and if he just pretends not to be there, they'll forget that he's inherently charming. As
much as Chugs is the biggest babyface IRL, he's a good actor, and if you can disassociate Chugs from Adam Cole is still a really good heel.
Adam Cole can be a really solid heel. I have never seen Claudio Castagnoli pull off heel unless he's wrestling specifically Eddie Kingston.
And even then, it's just, Eddie's actively convincing you he's a heel.
Like, only because Eddie Kingston's hatred comes through the screen and seeps into my soul, and I hate him because Eddie hates him, and thus hating him is correct.
That's another secret tool that will help us later. I'm going to just avert myself a little bit while your erection talks about this match.
So then we had Will Ospreay fighting Pac for the International Championship. Will Ospreay fucking rules. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll keep saying it. They built him in a lab to be my favorite wrestler. He still has not eclipsed MJF, but god damn it if he's not fighting for that spot. Pac is awesome. He always has been. He's as he says, often overlooked, and that's correct. He is. That's been his story since I first saw him wrestle in NXT. But like, he's still dope. He's still awesome. He still does cool moves. He did lose this match, and he should have.
Yeah, we don't need to take away from Will Ospreay's reign right now.
He just got the title back after dropping it quickly. I'd like to see the international title settle. Not for like an Orange Cassidy length of time, but for some time, just to let things sort of settle down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think both of these guys are phenomenal wrestlers. I don't have to tell you that. You have eyes. I need a little bit more to get me over, or to get them over with me, if you'd prefer. And I hate Will Ospreay's promos, as I've mentioned before. So, But
the funny thing is, you don't hate all of them. You only hate the promos he does in front of a live audience.
I hate his John Laurinaitis voice.
Yeah, you like it when he's backstage because he's speaking in his normal speaking voice, and he's saying the exact same shit. To be clear, his gimmick doesn't change at all. He's just yelling when he's out in the ring.
And yelling hoarsely.
Yeah, it's a specific weird... it's a specific, I will put it politely, down and hard-working English accent that he's doing out in the ring.
And I certainly have nothing against those people, in theory. But I have a legitimate hard time understanding him. And I watched Snatch without subtitles. I don't know how to...
It's specifically the level of hoarseness he employs and the...
It all just comes together to create noise.
How rhotic he is.
And I just get tired.
So there's a lot of, like, swallowed R's, or non-rhotic, excuse me. So it just kind of sounds like a angry seal barking at you. And I like that. I think that's cool because it has a proletarian air, to phrase it, to fancy it up a bit.
You're also more into British culture in general, their action films, their TV shows.
I'm more conversant in it.
Yes, what a wonderful way to put that. So, like, you get these tropes. A friend of mine tried to get me to watch a TV show. Man, I shouldn't have brought this up because I don't have any nouns in front of me right now. The one Laszlo from the vampire show, What We Do in the Shadows, was on. I forget what the hell it was called. It's on Netflix. I love the actor. I thought some of his acting was really good in this. He's playing a comedic, similar character who is an actor in the show. But all of the jokes were so, you live in England, right? So you already know all the England, that I had no idea what any of them were. It's like you guys, it's like if when people watch these wrestling podcasts and our Journey of Wrestling series and they don't watch wrestling, you're going to click away so fast.
You don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
No. So, like, it's similar in that sense. Will Ospreay he doesn't do it for me. Maybe someday.
I hope, because he's genuinely
He's really amazing. Good at athleticism. Now, the other match I really liked tonight was Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander.
The second, or maybe 76th, of the Blood Feuds.
It was a Chicago street fight, which was just a good way to say a garbage match.
Yeah, this is, as someone in the Discord puts it, a plunder match.
Sure. I think they even said that on commentary, but I don't know what all there is to say about it. There were cool spots. They had a good back and forth. Both women wrestled well when they were wrestling and not just beating each other with things.
When they were beating each other with things, they towed perhaps sometimes understandably thin line in pro wrestling between, super awesome, next level violence that sells the story of the match and attempted murder. That there's a line there, and crossing it can be blurry sometimes, but I think Stat and Willow neatly kept under the line of, wait, I think you should probably go to jail after that.
There's stuff that's like obvious stunt work, and then there's that period where Drew McIntyre was trying to actually kill everyone with a real sword.
Yeah, and like
that's not, you're not wrestling anymore. I don't know what you're doing.
That time that Abyss killed Rob Van Dam.
Yes.
Like
dead.
That's murder. If Pillman doesn't get to have a gun and then, he gets arrested after. There's a line. Again, foreshadowing is a narrative device.
As much as I like this match, I'm not happy about the outcome, even though it followed wrestling trope logic, which I get. But I want this feud to be over.
This is the other call I missed, because I want this feud to be over so fucking much, and it's not over until Willow Nightingale wins again.
No.
So, please just, and even if it ends just with Willow admitting that she lost or whatever, I don't, because it's bad for her character, but whatever, I don't care. Stop it.
Yeah, we always criticize AEW for not letting their heels go over. If Chris wants to walk away from this the victor, if Willow wants to give her that,
if this is the end of the feud, if Chris Statlander, the heel, just gets to win a feud, I'm fine with that. I'm big ups to that. But I know how AEW books. This shit is not over until Willow gets her win back, and I'm done watching them wrestle. I like both these talents. I'd like for them to wrestle other fucking people, please.
Agreed. Match full of guys that I like, I did not care about. Continental Championship match. I forget it's a title. It's the Okada Championship at this point.
It was the Kingston Championship before this. It's a title that existed solely so they could call the Continental Classic a tournament for a Triple Crown. It's the NJPW fan fiction title.
Right. We had Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita. Again, 3 talents I really like for different reasons. And Kazuchika Okada, who I am really growing to love because he's so good at being a bitch heel.
Yeah, like, he is a great heel. He has such absurdly good comedic timing in what is either his second or perhaps third language that I'm astounded.
I'm really come around on Kazuchika Okada. Bad first impression, but he's really brought me back in. Do you have much to say about this contest?
This match ripped. As much as you do, I like all these guys.
Yeah.
Takeshita's great. His current gimmick makes him look like $1 million fucking bucks. Orange Cassidy is solidly one of the best wrestlers on the AEW roster, both character-wise and wrestling-wise. Mark Briscoe is the best part of a faction that includes Orange Cassidy in it, and Willow Nightingale. And Okada's great. Okada's the king. He's a Rainmaker. He's the only man on Earth who can do a ripcord move right. This match ripped.
It was great. I had a lot of fun with it. Didn't quite hit the highs of the previous match, but it wasn't supposed to. Predictable as hell. Of course, Okada went over and kept his title. We've got the Classic Tournament coming up.
I will say of this card, I called this right, but this is the one I was nervous about, and I think this was the match that was the hardest call on the card. Including the fact that I got some of these wrong that aren't this one. I shouldn't have. This was actually the hard call. You could easily have seen Okada lose here.
And I would have given it to Takeshita.
I think I also would have given it to Takeshita. But also, I also would probably have given it to Takeshita in a one-on-one match.
Sure. I don't think Okada needs to worry about being devalued. He's Okada.
Yeah, it's fine, brother. You're good. You got your money.
Chris Jericho is allowed to lose to Action and Ready. I think he'll be okay.
Exactly.
Next was literally my piss break match.
Yeah, he missed most of this. He was in the bathroom. And he should have.
Yeah.
He was right to. Mercedes Mone is quickly becoming my least favorite wrestler in AEW. And I want to be clear. She is being an effective heel. This is not, you are not being an effective heel, I just wish you weren't here, heat. She is being an effective heel. She is doing all the things a heel should do. She is smarmy. She is unlikable. She is a little insensitive. And she is cowardly and chicken shit and all the things you want a heel to be. The pumped in cheers work so well as heel music because that's the message it's sending. She is astroturfed. That's the joke. Having said all of that, I still don't like watching her because she has creative control, and I know that. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I shouldn't be so deep in the dirt sheet weeds that actually is something that bothers me.
Well, and my guy, that might be a work, too.
Yeah, that might be second layer of kayfabe. And if she's working me, she's doing a really good job. If you're going second layer kayfabe to work smarks like me and make me cope and seethe and want to see you get beaten, congratulations. It's fucking working, dude.
The problem is, more so for me than you, but for us both, I don't want to see a person I don't like get their ass kicked, with the exception of Kevin Hart. I don't want to not see them. Go away. Leave forever. And while I understand that, much like Deadpool's healing factor, this cancer is a superpower, she is bringing people into AEW. I wish we didn't need her.
She draws money. She just fully does. She sells tickets. She makes people watch. And she's being an effective heel. At least for me, she is currently on that line of, I really want to see you lose. But, like, I don't want to watch anything you do until that. I just, like, if I could just be told, hey, she's losing, go watch this match, I will be like, oh, good, the one I would like to watch. But she's doing, I don't want to besmirch the work, because she's doing an excellent job in it. In the ring, she's the same Sasha Banks she's always fucking been.
Unfortunately, yeah. Now that we've had a couple of matches under her belt, it's the roll of the dice.
Either a top tier fucking world class Hall of Famer match from a top tier talent, or she fucking woke up on the wrong side of the bed today and we're getting mid. We got mid today. That's unfortunate, but we did.
Hikrau Shida needs to change her finisher.
Yeah, they buried the fuck out of it. The katana kick is fully buried. It is dead. It is one of this sort of thing is the reason I don't like knowing Mercedes Moné has creative control, because that means she's the one who made the call to have her opponent hit 3 of her finisher in a row and then kick out at 1.
Yeah.
And then Mercedes did her finisher 1 time and won. There was another match where something like this happened many years ago between Triple H and Booker T. And the internet's still mad about that one. I'm not sure why we're not mad about this one.
I'm defeated. Moving on to our main event. Jack Perry, a wrestler I do like, even though I'm in Penta recovery mode and it's going to be a while before I love again. He's got potential. I like his cool title. I like his cool hair. He does great promos.
Jack Perry told... You know that... I said this in the Discord, but I'm reusing the joke. You know that shitty coworker who thinks they're the boss and isn't, but still gives you orders like they're the boss? Jack Perry had the golden opportunity to tell that particular coworker to cry him a river, and then that guy fucking molded so hard he quit, or was fired, depending on your narrative. And now Jack Perry got to make that moment, that glorious retail job victory, into a career. And he's doing amazing things with it. The scapegoat is genuinely a cool gimmick.
I feel like everybody got what they wanted out of what happened between Jack Perry and this mysterious coworker, except for Tony Khan, who was so sad he lost his favorite action figure, he built Hologram. That's my narrative.
That is actually fully what happened. I
don't know about the last part.
No, you're in a... Because Hologram's always on Collision. In a world where that mysterious coworker is still here, Hologram doesn't exist.
Maybe not. This was a really good match. Another really good one. I'm not a huge Danielson guy, but I like this story. I like the way Jack Perry was very aggressive.
I loved the moment of defiance at the end of the match. where Jack Perry knows he's lost and he intends to go out on his own terms.
That was great.
That can be done good or poorly. Foreshadowing is a narrative device. And it was done really well here. Then after the match, the mighty patriarch Christian, who I love, to be clear, comes out with his Money in the Bank contract, and I was so upset. I was so terrified because I didn't want this. I don't want this. No, not now.
But you love Christian.
I do. And
this is what you wanted. This is what you asked for.
No.
Christian.
But then there was a golden moment where Mox comes out to defend Danielson, who just had a match, and you know is all beat up, and the rest of the BCC comes out with Pac, and like it looks like, oh, maybe Pac's just officially in the BCC now. That's good. It's weird to separate him out like that, and he fits right in. So just do that. And you know that was good. I liked that moment.
Mox came back after, for those of you who, for whatever reason, follow the antics of AEW exclusively through our podcast. Weird call, but thank you. He came back after All In, completely shorn, doing a romper stomper gimmick. Weird reference. And wanted to just talk with
in a very like don't run, I just want to talk sense with Darby Allin.
Yeah, with Darby Allin, and that hasn't happened yet on account of Darby died. We were saved by Sting from actual dying, but you know, pretty close. So he's been beating people up backstage with Marina Shafir, of all people.
He's been doing weird shit, and people have been asking, is he not a part of the BCC anymore? Is he doing his own thing? What's the deal? And this answered that. You know, this answered that Mox is still a part of the BCC. He's off doing his own thing right now, much like Danielson will go off and do his own thing. When together, they're still the Blackpool Combat Club. What William Regal hath wrought no man can tear asunder.
Can't he, though?
Turns out, yeah, all you need is a plastic bag.
This is where the show turned for me. And I really need to get out ahead and clarify here. It's not that I don't think extreme violence has a place in professional wrestling. I loved the Chicago street fight. There was blood in several matches before that I really liked. I'm not against this. I ran a horrorcore. You guys don't know what that means unless you're ICP fans, and here I'm using it in a wrestling context. I ran a dark, hardcore wrestling federation, EFED, for most of my life. I get it, but also, I was never a CZW guy. There's just personally a line for me that I don't want to watch. It's okay if you do.
Yeah, it doesn't gotta be for me for it to be good.
In the same way that, I don't necessarily know that all of Chikara's history, I'm not talking about backstage, was for me. Because I do like silly, goofy wrestling, but sometimes folks take it too far.
And in much the same way, I know most of Chikara's wrestling isn't for me, because I like silly wrestling a lot less than him.
Sure. That's all it is, you know, and
in matters of taste, the customer is always right.
So this was an ape of an old Terry Funk spot, but the way it was sold it crossed a line for me.
This is going to be wrestling heresy, but I have to say it because I think it's true. I genuinely think the problem with this spot and most of the next match was JR.
Him and one other issue, but go ahead and...
JR, and it's not anything he did wrong, it's that he is a relic of a bygone era. I mean that complimentary. Or compliment... I don't know how to conjugate that at the moment. Leave me alone.
Complementarily.
Complementarily, thank you.
Complimentous.
Complimentousness. But, so, JR is really adept, perhaps the most adept commentator of all time, at portraying moral outrage. Triple H, you son of a bitch, do you have no heart? Do you have no soul? He can portray a sheer moral, upstanding righteousness, outrage of this is wrong, this is unjust, this cannot be borne, that no modern commentator can pull off. None. Except him. So when you only bring him in for moments where that happens, which is right, use the right tool for the right job, sometimes it sounds like Dad is mad at you, and it sucks all the air out of the room.
Well, and let me point out something else about this specifically. It wasn't, by God, JR going, damn it, that man has a family, he's broken in half, etc., etc., Stone Cold has sold his soul to the devil, shouting and making himself hoarse. It was, hey guys, this is pretty fucked up.
Because he's old now.
He's old, and the times have changed, and the moment has changed.
But it was JR solemnly with like no tongue anywhere near his cheek, with the earnestness of like a marriage proposal, saying, "This is evil. What we're watching. This is a sin."
If I found out JR really hated this spot and the following match,
it wouldn't surprise me.
No, it also wouldn't surprise me if he didn't give a shit. He's a great actor.
Or loved it.
Yeah.
Thought it was dope as shit.
Sure.
Loves that Terry Funk spot. Has been excited to see it for 6 months. All of those are possible. JR is just genuinely, I think he's too good at his job, and he portrayed actually IRL, real life shoot, upset, emotionally distraught, and pissed so well, it sucked all the air out of the room.
And it wasn't just us. Like, with certain exception, the fans were a little like, whoa. Part of that for me, this is down to camera angles, and, me knowing the business a little bit, is there's a point where Danielson is clawing at the plastic bag around his face, trying to create an air hole. That could be good selling. Except that they then cut away from it, and when they cut back, he's covering up the air hole he finally managed to create with his hands to continue selling that he's being killed by the plastic bag. So, like, I'm old. My heart bleeds even more than it did when I was a sensitive 20-something. I'm almost out of the 30-somethings. So, I hate seeing the workers get shoot hurt. And clearly, Mox is not. He's playing his part.
Yeah, look, everyone signed off on this.
So here's Danielson that I can see, that Mox can't see, struggling to fucking breathe. Possibly dying. If this hole doesn't get made. And, like, as a viewer, man, this isn't Game of Thrones. There's not a guy getting decapitated by a sword. It's just a movie. It's just special effects. That man has a family, damn it. What are you doing? What are you doing, John Good? This is not good.
And genuinely, I think it's a case of them being too good at their jobs. Because
sure.
They can communicate. I'm sure if Danielson was actually struggling with the stupid bag, all he's got to do is reach up and grab Mox's wrist, and they know that means, all right, let up.
Sure. Double pinchies or something.
Yeah, like, I'm sure they communicated that. These are both seasoned professionals. I am more able to detach and recognize the professionals are telling me a story, so it didn't affect me emotionally. But I still thought it was a really, like, emotionally flattening moment in the story of the AEW universe.
I played Final Fantasy II recently. Okay, Final Fantasy games. I say that. Those of you who've played them, what do you think of? You think of Moogles. You think of silly clowns and big magic. This one, very early in Final Fantasy II, spoilers for a game that's almost as old as I am, an armada of technologically advanced ships rain bombs down on several towns that you had visited in the early game, killing most of the townsfolk. You go there, they're gone. The citizens, their NPC dialogue lines in this rudimentary NES game are mourning the dead.
Yeah.
And it is a similar level of tonal shift of like,
we're all having a good time. Oh, wait.
The murderer has showed up.
And Mox is the murderer. Now, having said all that, that's not actually the thing I have a problem with in this segment.
I think if it weren't for the following match and what we're about to discuss, I could have gotten over this.
what I have a problem with in this segment is that Wheeler Yuta wasn't in on it. And that's only because it makes the trios title so confusing.
It has devalued straps that have been so devalued for the last several months. These are the same titles that they stripped off of the Bang Bang Gang to put in a dumb match where they didn't win. What was the point of that?
The trios titles are the new TNT Championship. For many months, for many moons, the TNT Championship was the most punished title in AEW. It had the legitimacy of a paper sack. A lot has been done to rehabilitate that. Jack Perry's new cool TNT title, not the least of which. It's the trios titles now. The trio titles now are a fucking joke. And giving them to the BCC and PAC, weird, but, you know, contracts are what they are. You couldn't give them to the person you planned on. Fine. Having internal conflict between the BCC and PAC and one of the two BCC guys are on one side and the other BCC guy is on the other is confusing as fuck from a booking standpoint. Now, maybe what it is the Blackpool Combat Club is done. And Mox is going to rechristen PAC and Claudio and himself and Marina Shafir as a new thing. Their own thing. Because all throughout the match, Nigel, Hater Extreme, was, throughout his match earlier, Nigel was saying that Wheeler should move beyond the Blackpool Combat Club. He should be done with it. He should move on. That may have been foreshadowing for this, and they intend to just have Wheeler Yuta move on.
I think Wheeler's probably a better babyface anyway, but I don't like this rift in titles you could have just legitimized.
I mean, yeah, they could have just been on the same page, and then it's a whole bunch of really badass heels who just killed Bryan Danielson. That's heat. Why did you waste this heat?
It makes Danielson look more relatable. Allies
it's an absurd babyface boost for Danielson. It's good booking except for this, and that's why this is the part that pissed me off.
Never mind that I don't like Jon Moxley, which doesn't help things, but it's not the reason. This was just weirdly gratuitous, and the Wheeler thing just causes things that upset me.
It's just an unnecessary wrinkle in what was otherwise clean booking. Even if I don't aesthetically like the decision.
Sure. Now it's time for our main event.
The main event is what, if there is any justice on the earth, will be the crown atop a epic of a feud with possibly, if you can see our thumbnail right now, the literal best promo in AEW history.
We are partial to home burning promos here on the Two Nerds podcast. Again, season 1 of our Journey of Wrestling series.
There is no such thing as objectivity. Everyone has a bias. Here's mine. You burn down a fucker's house, you get extra points from me.
And he did it real cool.
He did it real cool! And it was so good. It was so perfect. And there was no way in the actual match they could go up from the Texas Death Match where Hanger drank a guy.
I think that's part of the problem, because in trying to go further up, whether this was the plan or not, and the announcers continuing to sell the action before us like they did the Danielson execution.
This is fucked up what's happening. This is not okay. We shouldn't be letting this happen. Someone should stop this. Those men have families.
It brought the whole room down. Even the audience, where they had a couple of pops.
Most of this match was the audience staring on... Alright, actually this was... And White and I firmly disagree on this match. I want to make that clear. I think this was really cool. White does not.
It just changed the mood. Like, this match could have been... I have some issues about the ending spots, but this match otherwise could have been a really entertaining hardcore match, even if it wasn't as good as the Texas Death Match. But to listen to the 3 or 4 people on commentary, I can't remember at this point, all of them going, Jesus Christ, I'm not having a very good time, my heart feels black, really killed things.
And I agree. I think commentary was a miss on this. I think it was the wrong tone. I think it was an understandable, believable, logical tone. It's still the wrong tone. You don't exist in the real world, Excalibur. You exist in the wrestling universe. And adjustments must be made. But, having said that, I think this match was really good. Because they didn't try and go up from the Texas Death Match. They went down. They went to a layer of, like, beyond the pale hyper-violence that must end the feud. It simply must. Because there is nowhere to go from here except actual murder. And there are parts of this match that are, like, biblically good storytelling.
Sure. I will agree with that. The burnt steak piece of the house. That's
Hanger
incredible.
pulling out a burnt piece of the house of Swerve's childhood home that he burned down in vengeance for Swerve threatening and stalking his family is a vengeance story that deserves an Oscar. Them fighting over trying to stake each other through the heart with it, while the audience looks on in what can only be described as stunned horror.
They did not make much noise until they got a table out and they were like, "Hey, can you guys light the table on fire? That might be fun." They did not.
No, because this match, one of the reasons I like this match is this match wasn't about giving the audience what they wanted. This match wasn't about you.
Right.
It was about Hanger and Swerve. It was a personal story being told in front of an audience. Neither man was playing to the crowd. There were some exceptions to that. Swerve came out in gear that I feel diminished the Hanger promo because, and I understand why Swerve did it, because in character and out of character probably, he wants to own that moment so that it can't be used to hurt him. And then later in the match, he actually managed to take that win back because despite wearing the image of Hanger burning his childhood home down on his own back, to own it, to make it his armor, to make it his, to take the power back, when he sees the burnt piece of his own house, he begins to openly weep in the middle of the wrestling ring in rage and sorrow. It's the best acting I've seen from Swerve Strickland in my whole fucking life.
It should have been great, but instead of having a commentary table that was providing context, highlighting the highs, recoiling at the lows, it was just like 95% stunned silence and awkward small talk.
It was instead of acting as the Greek chorus to the Greek tragedy,
absolutely,
unfolding in front of us, they acted like the crowd in a Live Leak video. And that's the wrong tone, my guy.
And that's kind of what I wanted to highlight as well. I said earlier I never really got into CZW, but CZW is still playing to the crowd. A crowd of sickos at the windows rubbing their hands together in glee, but the crowd nonetheless. This felt more like, snuff film footage, which was a joking comparison made a lot, but here I am making it directly, especially the final couple of spots.
Yeah, the final couple of spots were some shit that you absolutely probably shouldn't be doing. I'm hoping, a gimmicked chair being cranked just directly over Swerve Strickland's head to the point it broke over his dome. That's gotta be gimmicked. It's metal. His head would have broken first. But it was a cool image. And it probably still hurt like hell and shortened his career. Don't do that. Don't do those. Like, there's a part of me that mourns. The fucking old school sicko, the mutant in my soul, mourns the loss of chair shots to the head because they're a cool spot. But also, I like it when wrestlers can read when they're in their 50s.
Yeah. I love Mick Foley. Mick Foley is one of my all-timers who still counts as an all-timer, knock on wood. And I hate the fact that he couldn't have his last match because he's too fucked up.
And he knows it, and he was smart enough to make that call, but it's sad that he had to make it because of the sheer fucking violence of his chosen profession. And, look, I understand this is a, not even sometimes, this is an almost never food. This is a very special vintage that you take out of your reserve only once in a while, Mr. Khan, and I get it. These are adult men. If they wanted to do this spot, Well, if they didn't want to, no one could have fucking made them. So I'm not here to judge the talent for doing the spot.
Agreed entirely.
The weird spot with the fucking syringe, fucked up. Fucked up thing to do to a guy, but ultimately not that bad. Like, it's a little needle. It's probably bad. It's probably not a big deal, but like, oh, it fucking looks horrifying.
Yeah,
But like,
as I said earlier, it's what makes me stop and go, do I want to be here? Am I having a good time here?
And that's not the right tone. Look, this was a tragedy. The moment after Hanger finally puts Swerve down, and Swerve, in a last moment of defiance, to make it clear to Hanger that even if you managed to take me out, I've still got the win record. You can't have it. You'll never have it. I'm going to take what I can from you. To take his defiant end. Great. That he did it with his stupid fucking Jonkler laugh? Not so great. But like...
I don't know. At least it's in character. And I think it's good for Hangman as well. Clearly inspired by a few things. Because he is trying to scrape together joy from what was ultimately a fool's errand.
Yeah, vengeance is a fool's game. Hangman Adam Page learns this live in front of our faces. The moment after he defeats Swerve, and he's staring down at him, and you can almost see the camera pulling away while the soundtrack raises. He leaves the ring, he stops, he turns around because he's so bereft. This was supposed to make him feel better. This was right. This was justice. This was supposed to bring him closure, joy, satisfaction, and it's brought him nothing. Because vengeance never does.